My name is Gleb and this is Eugeny, our teammate. Eugeny survived the pandemic, the lockdown, the political crisis in Belarus. It looks and feels totally like City 17 under alien occupation. Beware of striders. But it makes it even more interesting to work on photogrammetry. We use many different photoscanning solutions in Creative Shrimp, namely reality capture, metashape, CalMap, and Mushroom, and some other pretty crazy solutions that use CMVS and stuff like that. We love Mushroom and other free and open source photogrammetry solutions. It's a great alternative to reality capture and other paid photoscanning software, especially considering the fact that reality capture has been quite expensive and probably still is. But is it really that expensive as it used to be? Let's figure it out in this video. Disclaimer, this is our own opinion, we weren't asked to produce such video or whatever, it's based on our own testing. So first of all, capturing reality recently became a part of Epic Games, and right after that the prices went down. For example, one of the licensing models of reality capture called pay per input became 4 times cheaper, and this change made it kind of affordable in my opinion. It works like this: you can download and use reality capture practically for free, and once you're satisfied with the results of the reconstruction, you can license the inputs or the source photos used, and the software will tell you how much it would cost to enable the export based on the number of photos and their resolution. There is a credits calculator on their side, so you can approximate the price in advance. For example, a set of 189 photos, 21 megapixels each, which is basically the resolution of Canon 80D, will result in $2.50 export, or 1007 credits. Alternatively, once we load the source images into reality capture, it will approximate the cost in the upper right corner of the screen, even before we run the alignment process. Here it lines up perfectly with what we have calculated before, $2.50. So what I will do next is quickly reconstruct the mesh by first aligning the images and then, reconstructing the actual mesh by pressing the normal detail button to prove that so far we can use the software without any additional restrictions before we hit that export button. And it opens up an interesting workflow. Basically, even if you use other software for reconstructing photoscanning assets, for example Mushroom, you can still benefit from the free preview functionality of reality capture, mainly because reality capture is, let's admit it, notoriously fast, maybe even fast enough to reconstruct the stuff on set if you wish to, so that's useful to know. And as we have mentioned, the resolution plays an important role in calculating the price tag. And that means that we can, for example, resize all our source photos in Krita or something, and that will allow us to save some money. So here you can see that I managed to reduce the final price by a factor of 10 by simply cranking down the resolution of the photos. And that makes a perfect sense, especially if you weren't going to reconstruct the model in full resolution in the first place, if you weren't going to utilize 6K by 4K source resolution anyway. And from my experience, in practice we can rarely make use of the full resolution. And the third consideration that contributes to lowering the price in the final run is that we pay only once for licensing the export, and once we did it, we can re-export it as many times as we like. For example, with the different number of polygons, different textures and so on. That is, if we don't change the source photos. So let's sum it up. The preview is free, the prices have dropped significantly, probably by a factor of 4. The input resolution and cost can be optimized. We license the source photos on export only once, and then we can play with the export settings and so on. So I'm tempted to say, and it's my opinion, that it makes reality capture a pretty affordable photoscanning software in many cases. Okay, and before we wrap it up, allow me to quickly export this model to finish the job. I'm pressing the Model button in the Reconstruction tab, selecting the OBJ format, then typing in or pasting the data that reality capture requests from me, and finally pressing the big blue button to acquire a license. In just a moment I will bring the resulting mesh to Blender, and that concludes this quick video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below, do you think it became more affordable or not? Or do you think it's still fairly expensive? Or do you prefer using free and open source solutions? And big thanks to Eugeny Palamarchuk for helping to prepare this video and generally for surviving. That was Gleb for CreativeShrimp.com. Take care and see you.